Hi everyone, today is June 27th, 2020. This is the Duel Assessment, your podcast for Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links. My name is Green Ranger. There's going to be a bit of background noise. Just letting you know throughout the episode. They're working on the MTA now. Later on, there might be another surprise with some noise. But I guess this is like if you've never been to New York, these are the sounds of the city. But packed week in Duel Links this week. We've got this kind of new meta invaded by Witch's Sorcery, but the old meta is not ready to give up. They're adapting. So we're going to look at some of the esports there. A few events going on this week. We have Taya, DSOD Taya, not obtainable as of this recording. We'll get her in a few days. But we've got this new character around and new cards from her so far. We have Professional Aster, new cards for Masked Heroes. We'll see if those are any good. Card Trader update. 2 repeated cards, but one of them is useful. We'll go back to Witch's Sorcery, finish off the remaining archetype R and Ns. We'll be talking Battle Wasps, Prophecy, Altergeist, and a little bit of Speedroids. And finally, I hit King of Games, so we're going to talk about my deck in depth. I also have a link from Duel Links meta of my deck that I submitted, so you can check out what it looks like. This really bad looking Witchcrafter deck. Yeah, I mentioned my week, King of Games. Just a quick summary before I spoil it all. I bought through the Witch's Sorcery box, but I didn't get every single Witchcrafter card. I was missing one Pittori. But, I went with it. I ran out of gems, and I kept playing my characters to get gems, to get my third Pittori. And on the way there, I hit King of Games. Legend 1 to King of Games pretty much in 1 or 2 days, just playing the deck. And, yeah, you'll hear more about the deck later at the end of the episode. Use the links to navigate through that. It's going to be a little bit later. I've also been playing different builds. I've put down the build I have because that's, not the best build. Witchcrafters can go so many different directions, so I'm trying something new now. I'm also playing with Cyrus, I think. I'm trying to get some Cyrus's skills in, get some dual skills in, so... and also playing the events to collect all the cards, things like that. So, once you hit King of Games and you don't do tournaments, you're kind of stuck in this phase where you don't have to play a ton anymore. There's time for other games, I guess. That's kind of what happens. This week in esports, I have 2 of them here, and I'm also going to talk about Battle Phase. Duel Links Meta Weekly number 130. Their Meta Championship Series is actually happening today. We'll talk about that next week. First place, Victor Lee, level duplication, Shiranui. 3 Phoenix Chains, 2 Needle Ceilings. You know what the deal is. They're going for the combo of Sun Saga and Zombie Skull, Archfiend Zombie Skull. Then you can hit that Needle Ceiling off, clear your opponent's board, and not your own. Other than the change with level duplication, many decks use level augmentation. There isn't a huge change with the deck list itself. Second place, Lorenzo Roma, Show of Nightmares, pure Lightsworn deck with the Chaos cards. 21 cards to accommodate the dual skill. You're trying to mill through this deck quick as possible. You've got Charge of Light Brigade, Solar Recharge, Melody of Awakening Dragoning, and Econ. So it's 4 different spells. Show of Nightmares needs 3 of them, and then you could recycle 1 of them. This is a really short list for a Chaos Lightsworn deck. You've got 3 Levianeers, 1 Blackwing Zephyros, 1 Plague Spreader, 3 Raiden, 3 Lumina, and a Bacon Saver. So you're going through a deck pretty fast, and that will let you hit your Levianeers pretty fast as well. Top 4, Kuroko Dairu, Sealed Tombs Dark Magician, This is the rare 2 Magician of Dark Illusion. Normally you don't see 2 of them. They were cut entirely at some point, but now we have 2 of them here. Otherwise not too remarkable. Dark Magicians are starting to be a little better right now, especially against Witchcrafters. They have this move where if they have the Dark Magic Circle and then Navigation set, they can counteract your plays. You don't know when to save up your Forbidden Lance or Spellbook to protect your Madame Vere, and then you're kind of screwed sometimes. And top 4, Trap Dexter, Cyber Style, Cyber Dragons. Nothing too remarkable. They are using 2 econs now, which is a development I've noticed. The previous aggressive builds with Treacherous Trap Hole, World Legacy Clash, now it's just econ. Duel Links Taiwan Weekly 106. Anthox, first place. Switcheroo invoked Neos. This seems to be the way to go. Element Sabers have been falling out of favor since the Grand Tournament and their low representation. And we're moving into these other builds. We've seen the Toolbox Neos build. That one was represented more than the Element Sabers actually in the top 100. This one, these Neos builds that we're going to talk about, they all have something in common. They all have, Aster package, Keeper of Dragon Magics. They have 3 of those. They have 2 Neos Fusion, of course, and then they have 3 Volcanic Shells. This is a card from that Volcanic box way back in the day, and last day of 2017, for that matter, so it's like a 2.5-year-old card. But the card is a fire monster. You pay 500 life points, add a Volcanic Shell from your deck to your hand. This must be in the graveyard to activate this effect. So, kind of similar to Element Sabers tutoring things with the field spell. You can run a bigger deck with Volcanic Shells because it thins the deck out itself, and you lose life points to activate the skill, which is Switcheroo here. So, Volcanic Shell is a new fire type to help play Invoked. But anyways, this deck isn't exactly a Neos Toolbox deck. There's only one material, and it's Bacon Saver. So, other decks we've seen in the Kaiba and the GT, they have the other monsters like Crimson Fox with Bacon Saver. This one just has 1 Bacon Saver. Otherwise, Invoked deck, we are seeing some changes in the trap composition of the deck, not really like it was when you had Malehu. I think these traps are to replace Malehu because there's no better replacement. So they have Divine Wrath, they have 2 copies of Ultimate Providence, they have a Karma Cut, they have 2 Fiendish Chain. Fiendish Chain remains the same, but the other cards kind of do, prevent effects from going off. And you could just discard your Volcanic Shells as your cost. This deck works pretty well. We're going to see a lot of this deck later on. Second place, Snow Stuffy, Cyber Style, Amano, Cyber Dragon. There's a little spice here. You've got a regular Cyber Dragon deck, 1 Cyber Dragon, 1 Veer, 3 Cores, 3 Cosmic, 1 Fusion Gate, 1 Herald of the Abyss, 3 Cyberload Fusion, 1 Cybernetic Fusion, 2 Econ, 2 Cybernetic Overflow. You also got 2 Amano Iwado, which is a famous component of the Amano stun deck, and this monster prevents any of your opponent's monster's abilities from going off, so interesting addition to Cyber Dragons here. Top 4, this name translates to I'm cute, don't abuse me. This is just a pure Cyber Dragon deck, straight up deck. 2 econs, of course, as I've noticed, is the trend going for Cyber Dragons. Playing a little slower now. And top 4, G Okinawa, Switcheroo, Invoked Neos. Similar deck to the one we saw before, but a little bit cheaper. There's no Fiendish Chains. The Bacon Saver has been replaced with Crimson Fox. So, a different dark attribute and different material for your Neos Fusion. Something to note about these decks is they don't run an Earth Elemental and also a Water. So you're just playing it for Purgatrio. This works against me because I only have one Purgatrio, so I can't really play this deck. And it also doesn't help that I don't have Neos. I don't have Brave Neos or anything like that, so that all works against me. I can't play this deck ever. I'll go with Battle Phase 69 just for reasons. Melanesia, first place, tie that binds Cristrons. You got the Gen X package, but no water package here. 30 card deck, Ballista Squad. Yeah, not much to say here. Second place, Totoyi 51 Switcheroo Invoked Neos, same deck as before. This is the Bacon Saver version. I guess that's how we're gonna separate it now. All the volcanic shells are here. Third place, top four. Luxon Cyberstyle Cyber Dragons. Aggro version. You've got 2 copies of Concentrating Current instead of your Econs. 2 copies of Herald of the Abyss. That's notable as well. Ton of removal here. Very aggressive deck. And top 4, Needson Sealed Tombs Dark Magician. Nothing notable here. So as we've seen from these esports, there hasn't been a new deck cracking the tier list. Actually, Witch's Sorcery hasn't made too much of an impact on the top 4 considerations of the deck, and as such, nothing's really shaping up the tier list yet. I'm not gonna devote too much time on the tier list, but all the decks are still the same, and they have a couple of high potential decks from Witch's Sorcery. Those are the Witchcrafters. What else was there? It's Witchcrafters, Spellbooks, and Evil Eye. Those are all the high potential decks that they put in there. We'll see with the Duel Links Meta Championship Series, MCS going on today, how much that shakes up the tier list, but nothing has really penetrated the top 4 so far. Okay, before we talk about the new cards in Duel Links this week, we do have an announcement of Yu-Gi-Oh! Neuron. This is a companion app that helps you play the game, I guess. It releases on June 29th, and it's all in Japanese right now, so I don't know if it's just the OCG release, but it makes sense that other languages will also be released at the same time. So basically what this app does is it's a card library, so you could look up every single card in the game. I assume it'll update as long as new cards come out. There's a life point calculator from what I could tell. There is a coin flipper. There is a card recognition device, so you take a picture of a card and then it logs it for you in the library. So this is pretty crazy for any fan in Yu-Gi-Oh! To have an app like this. I know things like this already exist, but this kind of adds a ton of features into one app. It's official from Konami, so you could use it in tournaments or whatever. So I guess it's a way for people to learn about cards on the fly, like in a TCG setting. That's pretty useful. Of course, the life point calculator's there. Coin flipping, so you don't have to bring your own coins, I guess. So, yeah. Pretty neat stuff. I'll get it right away. Just so I could waste time looking at cards on my phone, if I haven't done that enough already. Alright, let's start off with Taya Gardner. This is Taya Gardner's Reminiscence of the Future. I'm not sure how you reminisce of the future, but that is what's happening. And I'll just note about Taya right here. This is her new appearance. Obviously, all of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Characters got an upgrade from DSOD. They look different. And there's something different about Taya. There's a lot different about Taya. Overall, they're trying to make her all more attractive, I get it. But there's something with her eyes that makes her, like the eyes are too far apart from each other. It makes her look like an alien. I don't know who else sees that, but she's got a bit of an alien look to her, so it's kind of distracting, I think. Her eyes are too far apart. Otherwise, she looks great. Yeah, we got some new cards here. Yeah, I'm looking at the R's and N's, seeing if there's anything special to say about them. There isn't. Some of these are not like 3-ofs, but I'm pretty sure I had 3 of all these other cards before. But there are 3 new cards, and it's notable to say that this is just the event drops right here. These 3 cards are for the event drops. They're not her cards. Next week we'll talk about her cards, what she gets from level up, what her dual skills are. So first one's Witchcrafter Genie. Level 1, win Spellcaster 300-500. During your main phase quick effect, tribute this, discard a spell, special summon a Witchcrafter from your deck, except for this one. You can banish this card and a Witchcrafter spell from your graveyard. This effect becomes that spell's effect when this card is activated. You can use each effect once per turn. Right now, this card is less useful than Shmeta and Pitori. But it does have a spot in the deck. It helps to have a bigger variety of monsters, so you could cycle through multiple Witchcrafters per turn. So if your hand allows it, you could cycle all 3 of them into a Madame Vare in 1 turn. Typically, you don't want to banish your Witchcrafter spells, but this card lets you get around dead hands. That's the goal of this card. Sometimes you have a Madame Vare in the hand and you can't even play her because you don't have your Unveiling. This can help you use your Unveiling in the graveyard that you've tossed for a Pitori or a Shmeta play or something. So, yeah. You could use a Holiday that's stuck in the graveyard. It lets you get around dead situations. Like your Madame Vare is dead, and your Holiday's also in the graveyard. You could just banish them, get your Madame Vare on the board. This type of card is never going to be like a 3-of, though, unfortunately. Like, it's probably just like a 1-of right now. It's not the most important card, but it does help you more to play around dead hands. Another Witchcrafter card, Witchcrafter Patroness, is a continuous trap. Target one of your spellcasters that is banished or in the graveyard, shuffle it into the deck. If you do, add a Witchcrafter spell from your deck to your hand. If this is in the graveyard except for the turn it was sent there, you can banish this, then target any number of your banished Witchcrafters with different names, Witchcrafter spells with different names, add them to your hand. So, it's hard to count on that second ability where you can, when this is sent to the graveyard, and banish it, and then add your spells with different names. Your opponent's got to willingly destroy this card. And Cosmic Cyclone is pretty much the back row removal. It's going to get banished, not in the graveyard. So you can't really count on Patroness being in the graveyard, unfortunately. And Witchcrafters just like throwing away spells. This is a trap card, so it doesn't really work in your favor. What it does do is, if Witchcrafters move off their burn strategies with the Type 0 Magic Crusher, it leaves room for this trap card to be here, working towards resource generation and buffing your bigger monsters for battle. It works with Genie. Genie banishes the spells and stuff. Pitori and Shmeta also banish themselves, so you could just recycle those monsters, and then you could tutor a spell. I don't know. I can't say if this card is going to see play in the current build. Trap cards are typically at a disadvantage unless they become the balance build. I have seen balance Witchcrafters hit King of Games, so this card could see play. I don't see it being like vital to the deck right now, though. And the last card is Cupid Serve, level 2, Fairy, Light, 1600. Unaffected by the effects of other monsters, except for monsters whose levels are equal or lower than this card. You can banish up to 3 cards in your graveyard, increase this card's level by that number until the end of the turn. Yep. Okay. This is a non-tuner that can ramp up to level 5. You can banish 3 cards in your own graveyard. Not too useful. I don't see any effect where this is really beneficial. I could think of something where Eclipse Wyvern wants to be banished. So you could pull off a Lightsworn play, and this is a light monster. Like Eclipse Wyvern to get your Levianeer back or something. But seems like it doesn't have a use other than that. Not very useful. We did have a Cupid Volley before. Might be a similar theme of tennis cards or something. I don't know, but Not as useful as the Witchcrafter cards, and those are kind of like borderline right now. But we'll have to see the whole picture about the Witchcrafter, Genie, and Patroness. What else Taya is giving us? I think they're going to give some of the other cards too in her level up rewards. Cards that are probably like 1 or 2 of. She does play Adele, so it's possible we get Adele or some other cards. There's a few other Witchcrafter cards that we may or may not get. Alright, so let's move on to Professional Aster, and I must say that these 2 new cards are kind of a letdown. One of them's okay, one of them is not going to be played, and both of them probably are not going to get played in Masked Heroes, unless something gets nerfed. There's 2 new cards here. There's a bunch of older cards from the first Professional Aster event. Apparition Trap card. If a face-up hero monster you control is destroyed by battle or card effect, special summon a level 4 or lower vision hero from the deck, then you can have the original attack and defense of one monster your opponent controls. You can only activate 1 apparition per turn. This is okay for a few reasons. It's non-targeting, and it's a permanent debuff. So there's like a bit of a situational factor, though. You need your monsters destroyed by battle or card effect, and you're relying on something like that to your monsters get destroyed to have an effect go off. It's not great for a deck that plays OTK. One of the fastest decks around, Masked Heroes, and you're counting on your own things getting destroyed. That's never really a good thing, so that's what this card has going against it. It does have that nice debuff, though, to help your Enki plays, if you ever come to it. It does help the OTK, step, and you're lowering their attack by quite a bit, but the reliance on a destruction works against it. Another trap card called D-Counter Normal Trap. When a Destiny hero monster you control is targeted for an attack, destroy the attacking monster. Now this would have been good with the first run of Masked Heroes, where every single monster was a Destiny hero. This would have been, like Sakuretsu Armor, but then why won't you run Sakuretsu Armor over this card? That card, Sakuretsu Armor, is better than D-Counter, right? Because this only works for Destiny heroes. It won't even protect your Masked Heroes from getting hit. Now we have this Masked Hero deck. You've got Elemental Hero Stratus. We got Vision Hero Ferris. We've got all your Masked Heroes. So the dilution on Destiny heroes has gone way up. And this card's pretty much useless. Like, there's no way you could just time your thing. And of course, Sakuretsu Armor is just better than this card. So, yeah. Alright. That's Aster. Let's talk about the card trader update. There's 2 cards being added to the trader, and they're both not new cards here. First one's called Ice Mirror. The spell: send 1 face up level 3 or lower water monster you control. Select 1 face up level 3 or lower water monster you control. Special summon 1 monster with the same name as that monster from the deck. The monster special summoned by this card's effect cannot declare an attack this turn. So this card is not being played right now, but what I do see with this card is possible XZ's consideration. You got 2 level 3 water types going on. Maybe then. Now this one is actually useful. Temperance of Prophecy, level 3. Earth Spellcaster. It's part of the Spellbook clan. During the main phase, if you activated a Spellbook spell previously this turn, you can tribute this card, special summon a level 5 or higher light or dark spellcaster from your deck. You can't special summon another level 5 or higher monster during the turn you activate this effect. So this card was around from the first Carly event, I believe. It has something to do with one of the Carlys. And what this does is it helps the 2 new Spellbook players. There's High Priestess of Prophecy, who can come out for free already with the revealing 3 Spellbooks, special summon from the hand. But you could also use Temperance to cheat her out from the deck. So that could be even faster than this play. And also, if you want to get spicy, World of Prophecy, which we'll talk about in a bit. a bit of a bomb card to blow up the board. So Temperance of Prophecy is useful now in the new look spellbooks. There's also some other cards that were played in the first version of spellbooks. There's some card like Prophecy Destroyer, some other ones. There are some strong monsters. So yeah, Temperance of Prophecy is good now. Let's get back to an old topic, and that is finishing up, which is Sorcery. Last week I kind of talked about the high impact archetypes. Let's do the remaining archetypes. We have Battle Wasps, we have Spellbooks, not that they're not high impact, but there's only 3 cards, Altergeist, and we'll go through Speedroids in a bit of a speedy, abbreviated round. There's too many Speedroids to go through. Start off with the Battle Wasps. They do have that UR Synchro Monster Hama, but he doesn't have to be used with, Battle Wasps in particular. Just a very good generic level 8. Let's go over some of the R's and N's. There's only 5. Battle Wasp Arbalest, the Rapid Fire. Level 4, 1800, 800 Insect. When this is a normal summon, target a level 3 or lower insect in your graveyard, special summon it in defense. If this is destroyed by an opponent's card, special summon a Battle Wasp from your hand or deck. This effect can be used once per turn. So when this monster special summons a monster in defense, you automatically think of a card like Junk Synchron. So, classic monster with that ability, and it's kind of the opposite because it's the non-tuner searching for a tuner, and there's only 4 eligible insect tuners in Duel Links that fit this criteria. There's Fire Ant Ascator, Infernity Beetle, Naturia Butterfly, and Transicata. Transicata actually is the best one here. It's a level 3 insect tuner, 800, 1000. When special summoned, you can special summon a Molt token, which has 0/0, 3 stars. While this token special summoned by this effect is on the field, you can't special summon monsters from the extra deck except for insects. So, yeah. The token... Well, that doesn't work, actually. I was thinking the Molt token was a level 1, but it's a level 3. So you got those 2 guys. They can make a level 6. And then Transicata and Arbalest can make a level 7, but they're only insects. So, yeah, Transicata isn't as good as I thought, because it only allows that insect special summon your synchro monsters to be insects. So, not as much utility as I thought. I thought there was going to be some kind of insect toolbox, but I don't think we're there yet. They make this level 6, though, but not here. Summoning Swarm spells, a normal spell, target 4 or level 4 or lower Battle Wasps in your graveyard up to the number of monsters your opponent controls. Special summon them, you can only activate 1 per turn. Can't special summon monsters from the extra deck, except for insects this turn. So yeah, you could ramp up to 3 monsters depending on how behind you are on the board, or 1 or 2. Situational, high reward card, probably the highlight of Battle Wasps. Here's Halberd the Charge. We're in the ends now. Level 6 Synchro, Insect Tuner, and Non-Tuner 2500, 800. Once per turn, when this attacks a monster with equal or higher attack, quick effect, you can have the attack of the opponent's monster during damage calculation. When this inflicts battle damage to your opponent, you can inflict 200 more damage to your opponent for each Battle Wasp you control. You can use this effect once per turn. A little bit like White Aura Dolphin has that ability that turns them to half. Got 2500 himself. You can hit over something a lot higher than this. Extra burn ability. Decent level 6. This is what you can make with the Molt token and Transicata. You special summon Transicata. 2 level 3s. You can make this level 6. They're both insects. Battle Wasp Pin the Bullseye. Level 1 insect 200, 300. When you control an insect, you can special summon this from the hand. During your main phase, inflict 200 damage to your opponent for each pin the bullseye you control. You can use the effect once per turn. Little burn ability, 600 at the most. They're not going to stay on the board too long. Not really worth it at all. With Burn, you can do it a lot better than that. And finally, Battle Wasp, Twin Bow the Attacker, level 3 insect, 1500. During your main phase, special summon this from your hand. Also, you can special summon monsters from the extra deck for the rest of the turn, except for insects. You can use this effect once per turn. This card can make a second attack during each battle phase. Not great. It's like some really old cards where like Hayabusa Knight. Similar card. 2 attacks for 1,000. Not even a tuner. Not really worth it. Move on to the spellbooks and prophecies. Of course, the spellbooks and prophecies, they got the High Priestess of Prophecy and the Spellbook of Wisdom. 2 UR cards. They have some R's and N's as well. So, here's World of Prophecy. Here you are. Level 9 Spellcaster Light, 2900, 2400. When this is special summoned by the effect of a spellcaster or spellbook spell card, you can target 2 spellbooks in your graveyard, add those to your hand. You can special summon other monsters during the turn you activate this effect. When you add this card to your hand by this effect, you can reveal 4 spellbooks with different names in your hand. Destroy all other cards on the field. So there's a few cards that can help get this on the board. Temperance of Prophecy is one of those. Temperance of Prophecy is more of a tutor card, so it won't get this onto the board, I think. You're going to have to use something like Spellbook of Life or something like that. But if you do get this on the board, it's a bomb. Easy to get 4 spellbooks in your hand. You're getting 2 of them from the graveyard anyways, and you're just going to blow up the board. I don't think it sees play, but if the deck gets really spicy, like a 30-card version, maybe they add in Book of Life. Those aren't gunshots, those are illegal fireworks going on outside. You can't blow up the board. Let me correct that. Those fireworks made me think of Temperance of Prophecy, and you can tribute her to special summon that level 5 or higher light monster from the deck. So Temperance of Prophecy goes into World of Prophecy. Get 2 cards back from the graveyard. You have 4. You blow up the board. I could see it. I could see you fitting 1 World of Prophecy. Not really in a big spellcaster deck, but let's say spellcasters get back to a more than 20 card version. I could see World of Prophecy being a bomb. Next card is Amores of Prophecy, level 3, spellcaster 600, 2000. Once per turn, reveal a spellbook in your hand, special summon a level 4 or lower spellcaster. No interaction with Blue Boy here, but because Blue Boy only works if it's normal summoned or flipped face up, special summons don't count to tutor out a spellbook. This could work with some other card though, this doesn't have to be a spellbook. It could be a Night End Sorcerer. You special summon Night End Sorcerer, you get that banish off on that opponent's graveyard. So, and then you could tune into a level 5 or 6 going on here, but not like the typical route with spellbooks because you're not playing Synchro Monsters. And Stoic of Prophecy, level 1, 300, 200. When this is sent to the graveyard, add a level 3 Prophecy monster from your deck to your hand. This could tutor Temperance, I guess. Temperance is level 3. You could also tutor Amores. Blue Boy's more than 3, I think. It's not really worth it. I mean, it's less than 3, so it's not a great effect, not a great card to run overall. Move on to Altergeist. They're in a weird spot. They have that SR Marionetter. They have some other weird cards thrown in. Level 6, Altergeist Dragvirion. Spellcaster Dark Synchro. Generic requirements 2200, 1200. When an opponent's special summon monster declares an attack, you can return 1 Altergeist monster you control to the hand, negate that attack. If this is tributed and sent to the graveyard, you can special summon this card. You can use each effect once per turn. This is the most interesting card of the bunch. Generic level 6 synchro play. It's very similar to another level 6 that has been splashed into Synchro Toolbox. That is Vulcan the Divine. Vulcan the Divine is 2000. When it's Synchro summoned, you can remove a face-up card and your opponent's face-up monster, and you send them back to the hand. So typically you bounce back Vulcan the Divine for some stronger monster. This is similar. When an opponent's special summoned monster declares an attack, you can send this card back to the hand and negate that attack. So, similar thing. Yeah. Altergeist doesn't have a competitive spot in dueling, so this could be something for that level 6, 5, and 6 Akiza Synchro Toolbox deck. It's a bit of a long shot, though. Those decks, Brionic's Core, Archfiend's Call, Naturia Barkion, when that get popularized out of the selection box, that's probably going to be a hit. This is a bit of a situational thing, but it could be like, I don't know, negates an attack. That's something. You don't have to run like Sphere Kriebos or anything like that. Geist Lag. Level 2 Spellcaster Tuner. 0 attack, 1000 defense. Monsters your opponent controls cannot target Altergeist monsters you control for attacks except for this one. Also, your opponent cannot target Altergeist monsters you control of card effects except for this one. It's a tuner, but it's also like a board taunt. It absorbs all attacks and targets from the opponent. It doesn't have a place in this archetype, unfortunately. With it being completely underdeveloped, there's not enough like other Altergeist cards to control to do any damage with, to protect either. Altergeist, there's 2 traps here. Altergeist Amulet Elf, continuous trap, special summon this as an effect monster. Spellcaster level 4, 1400, 1800, trap monster. When summoned this way, and it's in the monster zone, all Altergeist traps you control cannot be destroyed by card effects. Neither player can target them with card effects. There's only one other trap card here, and I guess it protects it. Otherwise, this is not great as a trap monster of those stats, 1400, 1800. We've seen better ones than that. No benefits for other trap monsters, because this is the only one. And finally, Altergeist Camouflage. Normal trap, target a Altergeist monster you control, equip this to it. Your opponent cannot target it for attacks, but it does not prevent your opponent from attacking you directly. Negate the opponent's card effect that activates this by targeting the equipped monster. If the monster you control would be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can banish this from the graveyard instead. Very interesting card. Gives the monster immunity from attacks and targets. Makes them pretty much like an invisible Coxodus, but it only targets the Altergeist monster. We only have that Fag and also Marionetter. So there's only 2 monsters here, of course. If this Altergeist archetype does get fleshed out, it could be something to consider down the line, but there isn't enough here, but this is just it. Finally, Speedroids. As I mentioned, there's too many Speedroid cards to go through. Let's kind of breeze through them. High Speedroid Hagiata. This is the biggest synchro monster of the group, level 5, 2000, 1000. What this card does is it basically ramps the levels of all your monsters into a higher level, so you could tribute it, increase the levels of all monsters you control in the field by 1. When this is in the graveyard and you have a tuner, you can special summon it. So it's kind of like a ramp into higher level synchro plays, and it seems like the Speedroids, the goal is to get into a higher synchro play than themselves. Play really fast. Do stuff like that. High Speedroid Puzzle, level 4. Generic Synchro, 1300, 1600. At the start of the damage step, if this battles a special summon monster, you can make its attack double its current attack until the end of the damage step. Once per turn during your end phase, when this is in the graveyard, because it was synchro summoned, you can target a Speedroid, except for this one, add it to your hand. So this is one of those ones that could double an attack, hit up to 2600 per Pretty good against most things except for Dark Magician. Double Yo-Yo, level 4. Target a level 3 or lower speed void, special summon it. Yeah, this is kind of like the Junk Synchron effect, similar. You try to get a tuner onto the board. Got level 5 off of the red-eyed dice. Yeah. Ohaji Kid. When this is normal summon, target a tuner from either graveyard, special summon it. And then you can immediately synchro summon a wind synchro monster. So this gets into level 4 puzzle play with the red-eyed dice. So 3 plus 1. Another level 4 synchro play that is wind is Old Entity Aster. Probably the best level 4 synchro play there is right now. So there's something you could do a bit of a toolbox there if you want with the level 4s. Red-eyed dice, I just mentioned this card a few times. Pretty good. Level 1 machine tuner. When this is normal or special summoned, you can target a speed void you control. Declare a level from 1 to 6. It becomes that level from the end of this turn. So I mentioned those cards, Ohaji Kid can bring back red-eyed dice, but then you can make Ohaji Kid a level 6. So this is a real toolbox card here. Modifying the levels of any cards. This can make, level 2 to level 7. Very versatile card for tuning purposes. Pretty good, great card. Love that card. Den Daiko Duke, level 3 tuner. You can banish this from the graveyard. Special summon a speed void tuner from your hand or graveyard, except for this one. You can use this effect once per turn. Nice to have another tuner on. 3 is a nice level to have. It kind of hits the sweet spot on several things. You could have lower level monsters to make your level 4s. You could have your generic level 4s to make your level 7s. Red-eyed dice is probably the main tuner. It doesn't hurt to have a second. Speed recovery. Spell. Target a speed void in your graveyard. Special summon it. Then you could banish this from the graveyard. Target a speed void in your graveyard. Add it to your hand. This is nice. It's resurrection and recycle. It's a +1 generally in the late game. Rubber Band Plane. This one's not very good. I noted that. Level 5. 1800 attack 0 defense. When special summoned, you can special summon. If a monster is special summoned, you can special summon this from the hand. When this is normal or special summoned, you can target a monster and lose 600 attack. Yeah, it's not really worth it. These monsters modulate their levels well enough that you don't need a level 5 on the board. Bunks up the hand as well when you can't tribute summon it off. Razorang, level 4, 2000, has summoning sickness. Can't attack the turn it's normal summoned. Once per turn, you can target a face-up on the field. Change this to defense. It loses 800 attack. Not worth it. Pachinko Cart, level 4 machine, 1800, 1000. Once per turn, discard a machine. Target one monster on the field. Destroy it. We've seen this type of ability before. Very slow at this point in Duel Links. Back then, this would have been good. It kind of reminds me of Flying Fish, but Flying Fish could hit something like multiple cards a turn. That's why I love the card. You would Flying Fish a Oystermeister, and that's like 3 cards to zap in one turn. But Pachinko Cart hits for 1800. Very slow control ability here. Horse Stilts, level 4. When it's normal summon, special summon a level 4 or lower speed void from the hand. During the main phase, except for the turn this was sent to the graveyard, banish it from the graveyard. Send a wind monster from the deck to the graveyard. This is a nice card. Core card for the deck. Cheat out the tuner from the hand. It's another way to do it. You could do it from the graveyard or the hand. Yep. Ice Speed Relevel. Spell card. Banish a speed void from the graveyard. Target a synchro monster you control. Until the end of the turn, change the level to the banished monster's level. Gains attack equal to that monster's level times 500. This would be nice as a trap or a quick play, but as a normal speed cell, your opponent could just chain it, and it's not really good. It's easily countered. Finally, Dice Roll Battle is a trap card. When your opponent declares an attack, target a Speedroid in your graveyard, banish both it and the Speedroid tuner in your hand. If you do, special summon from your extra deck a Synchro Monster whose level equals the original of those monsters. During the battle step, you can banish this from the graveyard, target a face-up Synchro Monster, make that face-up attack monster attack your opponent controls. I'm confused. Anyways, it's like a synchro recycle from the graveyard in the hand, and then you get another synchro summon off if you have enough material in your extra deck. It's very, very situational card. That is all for box Witches Sorcery. Of course, those are the dredges of the box. And we have some actually real archetypes in Witchcrafters, Predaplanets, Evil Eye, good stuff. Now it's time for the King of Games report for June 2020. I've been talking to a lot of people on Twitter, and I've been posting a lot about Witchcrafters. Last week I mentioned how I played the deck pretty much out of necessity. I was buying through Witches Sorcery. I spent all my gems. And as I mentioned, the first 20 packs, I get Shmeta and Madame Vare. So at that point, I reset, and I was pigeonholed based on my pulls. And I pretty much learned the deck on the fly. I deranked all the way to Legend 1, and then I hit King of Games in like a day. It's insane. So it took me a few days to actually learn the deck, but yeah, this is a weird deck. I have the link here, and this is by no means an optimal deck. I only hit King of Games because first, I got a rhythm of the deck. It took me those losses to learn how to play the deck, and for me to stop messing up. Second, the meta was not... People don't know how to play against it yet. It's not a deck that has... Hey, it's good for King of Games right now, but it's not the most competitive on the tournament scene, so people haven't seen it in streams enough, I think. But in terms of King of Games, it steamrolls the competition. And the deck is super exciting to me because, well, I'll say this. I didn't particularly enjoy playing the deck, but I am excited about the deck building possibilities from the deck, as it allows a lot of cards to be played that were not previously played, and that always excites me. So this deck, there's a fatal flaw to this deck. Let's get back before that. I started playing this deck when I got 2 Pitori, and the weird thing about this deck is I've got 3 Shmetas and 2 Pitoris. This is just some free-to-play stuff going on here. I stopped buying Witches Sorcery, and I thought this was good enough to run. So what it is, 2 Madame Vare, 3 Shmeta, 2 Pitori, 3 Witchcrafter Collaboration, 2 Holiday, 3 Unveiling, and then the other spells, 2 Forbidden Lance, 2 Spellbook of Wisdom, 1 Herald of the Abyss. So, I'm playing Restart, and frankly, the only reason I played Restart was so I could level up a 5Ds character in Leo. And I was trying to get my next gems to get my 3rd Pitori. See, this is some free-to-play stuff going on here. And my deck doesn't even have 3 Pitori. Like, if you go on... I'm looking on Duel Links meta, almost every deck, 3 Pitori, 3 Shmeta. I got 2, and it was good enough. Not much more to say. That's why I was playing Restart. Level up Leo. And you restart your hand. What are you looking for? Madame Vare plus Unveiling, or Shmeta, or Pitori. You just need 1, and then like a Witchcrafter spell or something, or any spell, and then you're good. So as long as you don't clunk up your hand, Madame Vare, no Unveilings, or 1 Shmeta, 1 Pitori, you're pretty much good to go. So that was pretty easy for the restart condition. I tried playing Draw Sense Fire and Draw Sense Water before, but those are a little situational because you had to have taken like 1500 and not lose the duel, which is very easy in Duel Links, given how easy Sun Saga comes out of the game and things like that. So, and Cyber Dragons, of course. There's so many one-turn kill things going on here. So, those Draw Sense skills were not too reliable. I found Restart to be good. And of course, like I said, I was leveling up Leo. So, the other cards in the deck, of course, the goal is to work towards Madame Vare. 3 collaborations, 2 holidays, 3 unveilings. I'm not really sure why I went to this route. You see a lot of decks run 2 of each, so there's 6, and then there's room for some other spells or traps. I thought 3 unveilings was definite because I'm playing this version with 2 Patori, and unveiling with Madame Vare is what you want sometimes in your opening hand, and 3 unveilings would mean that is maximized. I only have 2 Madame Vares, and I thought 3 Madame Vares would be a bit, not that I have it, but it would be a bit clunky. 3 collaborations versus 2 holidays. I can't really explain this. Collaboration helps end games faster if you have it, so that's kind of what I was going for. In the guide, the first guide that was made on Duel Links Meta, they said this was probably the worst of the 3 Witchcrafter spells. It's hard to say. Like, you don't use them a ton. You just keep them in your hand to buff. I guess that's something you do with Witchcrafter spells. So in a sense, they're all kind of useless. But Holiday is better if you're behind. That's why I only have 2. Like, if you're playing behind, you're probably going to lose. So Holiday, you try to get Madame Vare because Shmeta and Patori, they banish themselves from the graveyard. Before these new Taya cards came in, there was no way to get these cards back. So you can't really rely on Witchcrafter Holiday bringing back your Shmeta unless you kind of set it up that way. Holiday's typically for Madame Vare and for you to be behind. So that's why I only have 2 of this, and collaborations win more, sure. It doesn't do anything to help facilitate cards from the hand or from the graveyard, which the other 2 do, but it gets you towards your win condition, of course, and you just needed these Witchcrafter spells. I felt like I needed the consistency with me only having 2 Patori. The other cards in the deck, so there's 2 ways to go about it. I think I've seen you could run a lot of Cosmic Cyclones, or you could protect your monsters. And I chose to protect my monsters. And this is fighting back row. The first version, I must say, the first version I played with Witchcrafters, I was trying to run like 1 of each, so I had like 1 Cosmic, 1 Galaxy Cyclone, 1 what's that thing called? Night Beam, like 1 Hey Trunade. I was running like 1 of each, and I don't know, like I felt like this protect your stuff build is better. Not that Shmeta or Patori need that type of protection. These 2 cards are pretty much for Madame Vare. Like, those cards can quick effect themselves out of the situation. Madame Vare doesn't have that ability. She just plops down and that's it. So, Forbidden Lance. I've actually used Forbidden Lance a lot more to debuff the opponent than to protect my monsters. Like, I've found it pretty useful given they try to hit over your monsters and you just get that math wrong and they lose. Spellbook of Wisdom was just a card that was around. I got 2 obviously just from buying through this box. I got 2 and 3 Shmetas. I got 3 Shmetas, 2 Madame Vares, so I just got this card. How much to say? I mean, you see what's activated on you. you activate it. Against Shiranui, you're always going to be activating traps. Certain Cyber Dragons, you're going to activate traps because of cybernetic overflow. It's always going to be traps. Sometimes it's spells. Not the most often, but yeah. 2 lances, 2 wisdoms. Typically, you keep these in your hand too, so you just activate it on the fly. If it's your opponent's turn, it's unlikely they would kind of save up their spell to use on you. Now, the last card in this deck is Herald of the Abyss. Why did I pick this card? I figured this deck had no removal, and every single way to deal with a monster is to hit over it. So, I figured there's a lot of monsters that are immune to destruction. I could think of Lunalight, Cat Dancer, or even like Neos. Neos cards. I faced a lot of favorite hero decks. Neos cards protect themselves. So, this is a way to hard remove a monster without targeting. Sure, you lose 1500, but whatever. And I've always loved Herald of the Abyss as a card, and happy to use it here as hard removal and just as another spell. I run no trap cards here. Probably the best way to play Witchcrafters is to burn, and using Type 0 Magic Crusher as your trap card. That's pretty devastating. I've been playing that version, not a Shadow Game version, but I've just been leveling up with it. And you can recycle spells to burn. You could burn your opponent for every spell you have, and you just get them back and burn them some more. So it's probably the best way to play it. I've seen a balanced build for Witchcrafters. So you have to run like 6 trap cards there. Type 0 is probably one of the trap cards, but no traps here. I might work towards my 3rd Pitori, but with all those new Taya cards, I'm not sure if I'll need 3 Pitori, so I might just be putting the brakes on in regards to this box. But, generally, what other tips do I have for this deck? Madame Vare is confusing. I mentioned this last week. I made a huge point about this last week about Madame Vare. Normally she prompts you to negate effects first. So sometimes you're trying to buff your monsters, and then you wind up discarding your own spells because you missed the thing. So whenever they talk about buffing the Witchcrafters, they're always going to use the terms damage calculation. So, you get prompted a ton with Madame Vare because all the Witchcrafters, but Madame Vare to negate an effect. And the skill behind playing Witchcrafters is knowing your opponent's deck and knowing when to negate an effect. They could easily fool you. They could activate the first effect, and it doesn't matter. Here's a good example. Against Destiny heroes, the effect you want to negate is Trinity. Because Trinity hits for 5,000. And let's say you don't have enough spells to block over 5,000. You're going to have to negate that effect. Adoration's a threat, sure. Let's say you get Adoration. They're going to try to debuff you. Then you go ahead and activate the ability. But Trinity is typically the card you want to stop. So you have to identify the threat first. And this is difficult for certain decks that have multiple threats. Like, let's say you're playing against a Lightsworn deck. You're going to want to stop Lumina because Lumina begins it all. Let's say they have a ton of things in their graveyard. They could try to make Lumina, but then, I've also got Chaos Dragon Levianeer here. So, that's a weakness of the deck. Madame Vare, let's say she's just plopped on the board. They activate Levianeer. There's no way you could stop it unless you block that ability of Levianeer. But you may have just spent that ability on Lumina. So, some card like Chalice. Chalice might see future play just being another spell in Witchcrafters to protect Madame Vare. But yeah, that is a weakness of the deck I just pointed out. But yeah, the main skill of Witchcrafters is knowing what to counter with Madame Ver. Another skill, of course, is knowing how to use Shmeta and Patori to facilitate the deck. Let's say you have other Witchcrafter spells in hand. You would try to go to the play where you cycle up Patori into Shmeta or Shmeta into Patori, and then you get that second monster intermediate into Madame Ver. So at that point, you're going to have Shmeta and Patori in the graveyard. If you have another card in hand, you activate Patori's ability, draw 1, discard 1. It's risky when you just have your Lances, your Wisdom, and your Abyss in the hand, and then you banish it all. So that's when it's risky to do it. Otherwise, you send another card to the graveyard with Shmeta, you draw them all back. You draw all your Witchcrafter spells back at the end of the turn. So I'll have to say, you're trying to buff your monsters so that you can beat your opponent. A lot of times you're swinging into your Madame Ver, who has plop down 2800 defense. You buffer even more. They damage themselves quite a bit. So yeah, that's what I have to say about Witchcrafters, King of Games version. The next version of this deck, I'm really not playing this version because this version sucks. I'm playing a different version now, so. But, this was good enough to hit King of Games. Of course, it was early on. People have faced Witchcrafters more, and they're a little better against it. But it's kind of a guide about how to play Witchcrafters, my King of Games deck for this month. Now, upcoming news. A lot of upcoming news. Early July, Turbo Duel Grand Prix new cards, Malefic, Red Eyes Black Dragon, and Dragon Queen of Tragic Endings. Early July, a new character appears who, shout out to Twitter guy Mountain Drew. I think it's Shoddy. New cards, The End of Anubis and Mystical Knight of Jackal. Mystical Knight of Jackal is an iconic name. But anyways, Anubis makes me think Egyptian. There's something about do you believe what you see, which is what Shoddy is all about. And he's a DSOD character as well as main series, so he probably will come to the game. Not obtainable, though. It's just a first appearance. We might get him down in August, though. Mid-July, Carly Carmine is back. This is the investigation event, which is one of my favorite events to get rewards. You could just get a lot of gems from that investigation event. New cards, Fortune Fairy, Sui, Frequency, Magician. Mid-July, Duel Quest. Late July, a new character appears with cards TG, Power Gladiator, and TG Tank Grub. I looked it up. It's going to be Bruno from 5Ds, who actually dies. Like, he straight up dies in the series and doesn't come back. And I don't know how often this happens in Yu-Gi-Oh! I know bad guys get sent to the Shadow Realm and they don't come back, but Bruno straight up dies. Late July, obtain a new legendary duelist who appears to be like regular Kalen Kessler. This is the Duelist Road event. It's a whole new event called Duelist Road Clash at Crashtown. Late July, Mission Circuit, a new card called Imitation. And finally, Blair Flanagan is being sent to the gate. That is it for the episode. Of course, I still haven't talked about the 5Ds level increase cards. I'll save that for some other week where there's nothing to talk about. And also, we'll also have ranked duels, new ranked duels rewards. We'll have Taya next week, so a lot to talk about. Even in the next week, we'll see. So thanks for listening to the podcast. Listen and subscribe anywhere you get your podcasts. Search the Duel Assessment, search Duel Links Podcast. You'll find me here. Check out the podcast and more at the website, the Duel Assessment, at wordpress.wordpress.com. Email me with anything at the Duel Assessment at gmail.com. Or you can interact with me on Twitter, Duel_assessment, or my own account at Green Rangers CCG. Alright? Take care, everyone. Talk to you next time.